I thought I was living in a perfect fairy tale with a loving husband until I heard his whisper in the night. "She doesn't suspect anything." My life collapsed in an instant, but I didn't know that the real nightmare was just beginning. My name is Miranda Bennett, and I thought I was living in a fairy tale for a long time. I'm 38, a writer with several published books, living in a cozy Manhattan apartment with my husband Jason. He's a financial consultant, and the sound of his voice alone could calm me. He always pronounced my name in a special way, as if it meant something incredibly important. Every morning he kissed my forehead and served coffee exactly the way I like it, with a small amount of cream and a pinch of cinnamon. Every evening he whispered in my ear, "You are my whole world, Miranda." And I believed him. I really believed. But one night, everything changed. It was around midnight when I woke up and noticed the bed was empty. I thought Jason might have gone downstairs to grab a snack or check something. I turned over, intending to fall asleep again. Suddenly, I heard a voice. It was Jason's voice coming from his office. It sounded serious, almost anxious. "She still doesn't suspect anything," he said. I froze. My heart started beating wildly. I couldn't breathe normally. I sat up and listened more closely. "Everything is going according to plan. Almost ready," he added quietly. I got out of bed and tiptoed toward the hallway. Pressing against the wall near his office, I noticed the door was slightly ajar, and a dim light was peeking through the crack. I heard almost nothing else, but honestly, I didn't need to. I had already heard enough. I returned to bed and pretended to be asleep. Jason returned a few minutes later and lay down next to me as if nothing had happened. But something was definitely wrong. I didn't sleep at all. I lay staring at the ceiling, my thoughts swirling in my head like a hurricane. I didn't know what Jason was scheming, but I felt it was somehow connected to me. The next morning, I moved around the kitchen like a ghost. Jason was still asleep. I stood in front of the coffee machine and my hands trembled. I picked up my phone. Until this moment, I had never been interested in our finances. Jason always handled that. The accounts, savings, all of it. I trusted him, thought I was being a good wife. But now, I wasn't sure anymore. I opened the banking app on my phone, and my heart stopped. There were so many money transfers, $500 here, $1,000 there, $750, $2,000, one after another over the past 3 months. Individually, they didn't seem huge, but together they painted a very unpleasant picture. I grabbed the countertop, trying not to fall, and then I heard his voice behind me. "Checking the account so early?" Jason asked casually, but I noticed surprise in his eyes. He leaned against the doorway, rubbing his neck. "Just curious," I said, trying to sound relaxed. "Some of these payments look odd." He approached, poured himself coffee, and gave me a fake smile. "Oh, those? Just a few minor investments. I must have forgotten to tell you." He sipped his coffee, avoiding looking me in the eye. Something inside me changed. It wasn't anger. It was something colder and sharper. I nodded, as if I believed him, but I didn't. I no longer looked at him with love. I watched closely, noticing all the small lies in his fake smiles and shrugs. "Jason, where exactly did you invest that money?" I asked, trying to keep my voice indifferent. He tensed for a split second, almost imperceptibly, but I saw it. "In various startups, stocks, bonds. Nothing special, just portfolio diversification." He waved his hand as if swatting away a fly. "You know, boring financial stuff. You're not interested." "Maybe I should start being interested," I said quietly. "After all, these are our shared funds." Jason set his cup down and approached me. He hugged me and kissed my head as he had done thousands of times before. "Sweetie, there's nothing for you to worry about. I always take care of us." His words once soothed me. Now they sent a chill down my spine. That night I noticed even more. He was constantly on the phone, putting its screen down, leaving to take calls. And when I asked what he was up to, he just smiled and said, "Just work, nothing you should worry about." But I was worried, very worried, and I knew I had to act fast. 2 days later, I had the chance. It was a quiet evening. Jason finished dinner and went upstairs to shower. Normally, he always carried his phone with him, but this time he left it on the dining table. My heart raced. I waited a minute, then grabbed it. It wasn't locked. My hand shook as I scrolled through his messages. Most were ordinary work matters, casual conversations. But then I saw one message thread without a name, just a phone number. The last message read, "Send her the Ilium files, just make sure she remains in the dark. Almost ready." I froze. I reread it over and over. Who was this her? Was it me? Was Jason sending someone something about me? My stomach tightened. I placed the phone exactly where he had left it, trying not to disturb anything. Then I went to the kitchen, splashed cold water on my face, and tried to slow my breathing. The sound of the shower was still audible. I had a few more minutes, but my mind wouldn't stop racing. Jason wasn't just lying. He wasn't just cheating. He was planning something serious, and I was the target. Later that night, when he slipped into bed, he kissed my forehead as he always did. "Are you okay?" he softly asked. I nodded weakly and smiled. Just tired. But inside I was screaming. He didn't know I had seen the message. He still believed I was in the dark. That was his mistake, and I was going to use it. The next morning, as soon as Jason left for work, I called Emily. Emily Foster was not just my best friend from college. She was a brilliant estate lawyer. We had lost touch for a while, but reunited last summer over coffee. I never thought I'd be calling her like this. When she answered, I wasted no time. My voice trembled as I told her everything. Jason's lies, the secret transactions, the message about the Ilium files. She listened, not interrupting. When I finally stopped, she asked just one question. "What amount of money are we talking about?" "About 500 million, I said. There was a long pause, then her voice returned, calm, firm, resolute. "Miranda, we need to transfer your assets, right now." My knees buckled. I sat on the edge of the sofa. "You sure?" I whispered. "Yes. If you wait, he'll make a move. We'll create a trust in your name. It'll be legally protected. He won't be able to touch a single cent." I swallowed. The apartment, savings, book royalties, investments, everything I had built was threatened. "I agree," I said. The next 72 hours were a blur. Documents, signatures, phone calls. Emily worked like a machine. She brought in her team. We transferred the ownership of the apartment into a trust, locked down investment accounts, moved every single asset under my personal legal protection. By the time Jason walked through the door on the third day, takeout in hand and his usual charming smile on his face, it was all done. "Thought we'd have Thai takeout tonight," he said cheerfully. I nodded and took the bag from him. He had no idea everything had changed. The papers were signed, the money moved, the fortress built. Let him think I was still asleep. Let him make his next move. Because this time, I was ready. 4 days later, he made his move. It was a Friday evening. He came home earlier than usual, dressed in one of his tailored suits, calm, smug. He set his briefcase down and sat across from me at the dining table. "We need to talk," he said, sliding a folder toward me. I didn't flinch. I slowly opened it. Divorce papers. "I think it's for the best," he continued, his voice meticulously measured. "We've grown apart. I don't want this to be painful." I raised my eyes, my face unreadable. "Really?" I asked. He hesitated just long enough for doubt to flicker in his eyes, then nodded. "Yes, it will be better." I took a breath and slid the folder back to him. "Before we go further, there's something you should know." His brows furrowed. "What?" I leaned forward, my voice steady and clear. "I've already moved everything." He blinked. "What?" "The apartment, accounts, royalties, all of it. It's in a protected trust now. You can't touch a single cent." Color drained from his face. What do you mean?" "I mean," I said calmly, "you can't just come in here, hand me divorce papers, and walk away with half of my life." His jaw tightened. His hand gripped the edge of the folder. "You can't do this." "I already did." He stared at me, searching for any crack, any weakness, but I gave him none. "You were right about one thing," I said quietly. "Life is unpredictable." He slowly pushed away from the table and stood. "We'll see you in court," he said coldly. I stood as well, meeting his gaze. "Go ahead. Try." He left, and for the first time in weeks, I exhaled. Because now he knew I wasn't the woman he could manipulate anymore. I thought the worst was over. I was wrong. 3 days after Jason stormed out of the apartment, I started noticing strange things at work. Whispers, sideways glances. Something was brewing, and this time it wasn't just about money. It was about destroying me. My colleagues, people who once met me with smiles, suddenly avoided eye contact. It wasn't my imagination. It happened too often. Then Olivia, my assistant, walked into my office. Her face was pale, and she held a printed page. "You need to see this," she said quietly. It was a screenshot from an anonymous forum. The headline read, "Finance Director hides funds during divorce, using company money." Below it was a post accusing a high-ranking executive, unnamed, of stealing company money to protect herself during a divorce. But in the comments, someone clarified, "I know who it is, Miranda Bennett. Look at her." My heart sank. "Jason," I whispered. "He's trying to destroy me." Olivia nodded. "If this spreads, your reputation, even your job—" "No." I stood up and began pacing. I built it all on my own. No shortcuts, no favors, just hard work and honesty. And now, one lie could destroy everything. "I need to call Emily," I said. That evening, I sat across from Emily in her office, my hands shaking. I told her everything. "It's not just about the divorce anymore," I said. "He's trying to ruin me at work." Emily leaned back, calm but firm. "He's playing dirty. He wants to scare you into agreeing to his terms. But if you're not backing down—" "I'm not backing down," I said decisively. "Good," she replied. "We'll send a cease and desist, and if he continues pushing, we'll sue him for defamation." A glimmer of hope lit within me. He wanted to exhaust me with lies, but what he didn't know, what he always underestimated, was that I wasn't afraid of the truth. 3 days later, Emily called me back to her office. Her voice was tense, serious. "He filed a lawsuit," she said. "He's accusing you of financial fraud." I blinked. "What?" "He's saying you illegally moved joint assets. He's claiming you embezzled money from your shared accounts." I slumped into a chair. "He can't be serious." "Oh, he's serious," Emily said, sliding a file toward me. "And he's not alone." I opened the file. The name hit me like a punch. Ilium. It was the name I saw in that suspicious message on Jason's phone. "Who is he?" I asked. Emily's expression darkened. "A known scammer. He's linked to forged documents and fraud schemes. Never convicted, but his name comes up frequently." I flipped through the papers. There were fake transactions, forged signatures. Some even looked like mine. "These aren't mine," I said, my voice rising. "This is a lie." "We know, but we need proof." All my fear turned into fire. He was doing it again, trying to bury me in lies. "Then let's bury him in the truth," I said. Emily nodded and handed everything over to a forensic financial expert. The next week, we worked non-stop. I barely slept. We traced every real transaction, every document, verified every signature, followed every digital trail. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about my name, my dignity, my right to protect what I had built. By the end of the week, we had it all. The expert traced the forged documents back to Ilium's firm. The dates were wrong, the signatures didn't match, and there was no tie to any of my real accounts. Jason tried everything, but the truth was stronger, and this time it had support. A month later, we walked into the courtroom. Emily was poised and sharp. I sat beside her in navy, my back straight, my hands steady. Across the room, Jason looked like a ghost, nervous, twitchy, lost. The judge reviewed every document. Our case was solid. Ilium didn't even show up. When the decision came, I closed my eyes, not with relief, but with finality. The court dismissed all of Jason's claims. He got nothing from my trust. Worse for him, he was ordered to pay my legal fees. His smear campaign completely failed. After the hearing, he tried to talk to me in the hallway. "You didn't need to do this," he said quietly. I looked him straight in the eyes. "No, Jason, you didn't need to do this." Then I turned and walked away forever. The weeks that followed were quiet. I took slow steps, returned to writing, walked in Central Park, let silence replace chaos. I didn't celebrate victory. I reflected. Because victory doesn't always feel like joy. Sometimes it's just peace after the storm. Sometimes it's just the freedom to breathe again. And through all of it, I learned a lesson every woman should remember. Trust is a gift, but control over your life is a right. No matter how charming someone seems, never give away your power blindly. Know your worth. Protect your future. And if anyone ever tries to destroy you with lies, don't break. Stand tall and let the truth scream louder than revenge. 6 months after the trial, I was sitting in a small cafe on the Upper East Side when I saw a familiar figure walk through the door. Emily. She noticed me and smiled, heading to my table. "How's my favorite client?" she asked, sitting across from me. I smiled. "Better than ever. Just signed a contract for a new book." "I heard," Congratulations. Emily leaned closer. Do you know what happened to Jason? I shook my head. No, and I'm not sure I want to know. His company fired him. After his dealings with Ilium came to light, no one wanted anything to do with him. Emily paused. He moved out of town. Someone saw him in Chicago. I stirred my coffee slowly. Oddly enough, I felt no gloating, no bitterness, just a quiet understanding that the circle was complete. You know, Emily, I used to think I loved him more than anything, ready to do anything for him. But now I realize I should have loved myself just as much. Emily squeezed my hand. Your story inspires so many women, you know that? I looked up. What do you mean? Your case. It became precedent. I get calls from women in similar situations. They heard about you, how you fought and won. I felt something warm open up inside me. Maybe you should write about it, Emily suggested. Not a novel, a real story. Your story. I had never considered it, but suddenly the idea felt right. Maybe my pain could turn into something more meaningful, a helping hand for other women trapped in lies and manipulations. That night, I opened a new document on my laptop and began to write. My name is Miranda Bennett, and I thought I was living in a fairy tale for a long time. 6 months later, my book, Truth Louder Than Lies, How I Survived Betrayal and Found My Strength, was just released. I stood in a bookstore on Fifth Avenue, looking at the line of women waiting for a signing. Each of them held my book, but more importantly, each carried her own story. Miranda, it's such an honor to meet you, said a middle-aged woman, handing me her copy. Your book helped me find the courage to leave a husband who controlled every aspect of my life, including finances. I signed the book and looked her in the eye. How are you now? Free, she said with a smile. For the first time in 20 years. Next was a young woman, not older than 30. I read your story and cried all night. All this was happening to me, but I couldn't name it. I thought I was going crazy. I squeezed her hand. You're not going crazy, and you're not alone. One by one, they stepped forward. Women of all ages, different professions and backgrounds, united by an experience I knew all too well. After the event, I stepped outside. It was a cool fall evening in New York. The city lights shone brighter than ever. I took a deep breath. My life wasn't the perfect fairy tale I once thought I was living. It was better. It was real. I walked along Manhattan streets, and for the first time in a long time, I felt complete peace. Not because I beat Jason in court, not because my books were selling well, but because I finally understood. My worth never depended on how someone else saw me. The phone in my bag vibrated. A message from Emily. A producer from Netflix wants to talk about your story. Interested? I smiled and replied, Very. It's time to tell this story even louder. Truth will always find its way to the light, and sometimes it leads you right home, to yourself. If you're still here, thank you. And if this story touched you deeply, share it, like it, comment on it. Let someone else know that they are not alone. Because real strength is not just about surviving the storm, it's about learning to own the sky after it.